Hello everybody, my name is KingStix. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to carry as a jungler by invading the enemy jungler. To do this, first of all, you have to be a jungler who can fight in a 1v1 situation. If you're playing something like Rammus or Zac, obviously this isn't going to work. Those champions play more for the mid and late game and have a lot of issues with trying to solo enemy junglers in their first clear in particular, or just in early levels in general. You're going to have high damage or high stickiness of some sort. So whether you're Kindreds and Zao, Nidalee, Rengar, 𝐒𝐿𝐂𝐋𝐒, it doesn't really matter. I personally really like to do it with a champion like Kindred since she has so many dashes, she can go over walls. It helps me a lot with my pathing and playing really aggressive to take early advantages to snowball it into a lead where I can consistently carry my teams and have very high agency over my games. This is particularly useful as well in lower elo where enemy junglers make mistakes, they get lower on health in their own jungle and they're easier to kill. I am going to be starting on my red buff. I highly recommend it if you plan on playing aggressive early, especially if you plan on invading the enemy jungler. Red buff is going to be essential for being able to fight them. So try to keep watch, make sure you don't get invaded. On machete junglers, you really want to try to avoid taking raptor camp early on. You'll lose a lot of health and blow a lot of mana. That's just one camp that you really want to stay away from until you have at least a blue buff or until you've recalled. Junglers that aren't mana reliant like Rengar can get away with doing so if you're clearing it properly. So I'm going to be going from my red to my blue buff for the fastest clear possible. No, this isn't going to be giving me level 3. However, I'll have double buffs and I'll be in a decent position to invade Lee Sin on his red buff. In lower and mid elo, junglers almost always start with their bot laners. However, there are junglers who don't necessarily need leashes, and sometimes the jungler doesn't get a leash. In this game, as I'm taking my red buff, I'm watching the mini map. I see 𝐒𝐿 shows up to lane first, so odds are she didn't leash her jungler and the enemy bot lane is still missing. You can get even more information by clicking on them on the minimap and checking their mana to see if they've used any spells, and if they have, odds are they probably leashed their jungler. So in this game I'm thinking, you know what, bot lane came late, so Lee Sin probably started bot. With the knowledge I currently have, I believe I will kill Lee Sin on his red buff, and if he's doing a 3 camp clear doing blue, wolves, and Gromp, in that case I will jump over the wall, word is red, take his golems while I wait for him, and then hop back over to kill him once he's nearly finished. As I hop over the wall and go toward the bush, I notice the red buff isn't there. This is very confusing because of the information I got from the mini-map. Oh well, I'll go gank 𝐒𝐿, she's top and she's shoved up. It should be an easy gank. As I'm leaving, I see Lee Sin on the minimap. I quickly turn back to look at him. He just came from his golem area, so that means he probably just finished taking them, and I want to know if he has his blue buff. He doesn't have blue, he's leaving his golems and his red is gone, and he only has 8 CS. That means he's only taken his red and his golems. Each jungle camp is worth 4 CS, so that's how we get to the 8. So now he is most likely going to his blue buff, or even more likely going to his raptors, because if someone's going to take the time to do their golems after red, that means they want to do a full clear. So instead of just running straight at him, fighting him, maybe getting a kill, I'm going to run all the way around and go into his raptor bush and watch him like a predator. I hop, I auto, and it's an easy kill, and then I can take the raptors. For those of you who have a lot of questions about the what ifs and what would have I have done if Lee Sin didn't show up, I would have just gone and ganked top, or if top wasn't a possible gank, I would have taken his golems or raptors. I really had options all the way around. Let's say for one reason or another, all the enemies come and shove me off and I have to leave that area and I can't kill Lee Sin and I can't take his golems and I can't take his raptors, I can't do any of that. In that case, I would have came back down, done my Gromp, wolves, raptors, golems, and then reset, assuming there weren't any easy ganks in between. So you're still setting yourself up with options, but you're also setting yourself up for some massive reward plays. And of course, like we mentioned, you need to be the right character. You can't be doing this if you're playing a tank styled, weak, early game off meta champion. Scuttle spawns in at 315, so after taking wolves, instead of proceeding to clear the rest of my jungle in a linear manner, I might as well go for the Scuttle since I'm ahead of Lee Sin and have red buff. The 𝐒𝐿 is still shoved up, making this a very easy gank. I just run behind her, get down my E, and proceed to spam auto her. She does end up killing my Irelia. I'm not too concerned though, as long as I'm the one who gets the kill. Since I know what I'm doing, it's well worth it. If you are a tank style jungler, it's not as bad to give away a kill even if you are smurfing, since you are relying on your teammates to carry you in the mid and late game. But as a hyper carry jungler, especially as a smurf, you really do want to be trying to get the kills. Getting a lead on Kindred, or simply getting a lead over the enemy jungler, is extremely important for consistently carrying your games, because it will allow you to take neutral objectives such as Scuttle Crabs, Dragons, Rift Herald with a lot of ease, and it will also allow you to set up secondary invades on the enemy jungler where you are very confident and you know you can 1v1 them. After leaving base, I start up my full clear at the camps I neglected to take, which also happen to be the ones that also give the most experience, Golems and Raptors. For those of you wondering why I don't go for the Scuttle Crab that has the mark on it, I figured Lee Sin had already taken it. Since he didn't try to contest me at the top Scuttle Crab, there's really nowhere else he could have gone other than his blue side and that Scuttle Crab on bot side. And pretty much every elo lower than Diamond, the enemies will oftentimes not be looking on the minimap consistently. So if you're coming in for a gank, make sure you use your sweeper or a pink ward. Even though they should have been able to see you for a second or two, oftentimes they won't see you in time, especially if they're trying to fight your laners. They won't even notice, so just lay it, walk past it, and then it won't be able to see you, and then most likely they won't have seen you, and it's an easy game. So you don't waste your time while you're doing this. Try to watch how they're moving as you're ganking. If they immediately run away and you know you can't get the kill, just back off. In this case, I was watching them as I approached, and after I saw the bush was warded after I laid my pink, I noticed they didn't react at all, and in fact they were trying to ult in my bot lane, so it was super easy. Just because something's warded doesn't mean you always need to back off. Since this video is about invading, I'm going to show you some cheeky stuff. We saw Thresh over here by the blue buff, and I'm waiting on this wall. You don't typically want to wait in the tri-bush itself. Oftentimes it will be warded, especially whenever you are ahead, because they don't want to get dove. By using this piece of knowledge to my advantage, by not showing on the tri-brush, I picked myself up an easy kill, and we can also set up a dive on Jhin as well. Without that tiny little piece of knowledge and playing around it, not only would we have missed out on the kill on Thresh, but Jhin would have probably ran away as well, and we wouldn't have gotten either one of those kills. Now I can set up more pressure by taking Lee Sin's camps and possibly killing their bot lane as they come back to lane, because I can clear their vision out. Since I was clearing out their wards, they're probably a little suspicious of me still being here. Whenever the enemies are suspicious, oftentimes they'll hug the wall and try to ward into it before you can react, but of course I am anticipating Thresh or Jhin doing this, so I was ready on the dot, and it just leads to me getting an easy double kill. Once you've built up a lead, it's important that you don't stagnate, and by stagnate, you don't want to just be hanging out in your own jungle and farming. For every camp you're farming, even if the enemy jungler is behind, he can farm one of his camps at approximately the same speed. So every time you're allowing him to trade gold with you by letting him farm one of his camps while you're farming one of your camps, you're slowly letting him back into the game by diluting your gold lead. So you constantly want to try to be looking for positive, high percent opportunities to invade them, thus putting them farther behind and putting you further ahead rather than you both getting ahead. For those of you wondering why I have a Taric stun bot with me, this is my wife. We're currently doing an Unranked to Challenger on LAN. She's a D4 NA support main, so I figured I have a pretty good chance of getting her to Challenger if we do it on LAN. Obviously this is a series, so if you want to see more, feel free to check out the other videos in this series. Many of the videos are different from each other in terms of educational content. Some have a lot, some have a little, and some have a medium amount, so don't necessarily expect the same exact thing every time. One final thing I want to mention about Kindred is I think she is by far the best ranged jungler for solo queue right now. If you are looking to play ranged jungler, I definitely think she is the one you should spend your time into. And if you're not ready to pick up a ranged jungler, if you don't know how to effectively use attack move click, that is perfectly okay. You can do very similar stuff, and it's much easier to do on a champion like Xin Zhao, where you don't have to kite as hard and you don't have to quite think as much. Alright guys, that is going to wrap up this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps out a lot with the YouTube algorithm. My name is KingStix. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush. tape my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. Some days I feel skinnier than all the other days. Sometimes I can't tell if my body belongs to me. I love everything. Fire spreading all around my room. My world's so bright, it's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.